Anil Arora is the Chief Statistician of Canada, and he's with me now. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in to talk about this story that's got the attention of a lot of Canadians watching this conversation unfold. And maybe let's start there. This idea of obtaining sensitive banking information about 500,000 Canadians without their consent. Let's start by having you tell me exactly what you're collecting and why. What's the data you're after?
Yeah. Well, Peter, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate this opportunity. So first of all, look, in today's economy and our society, what people need are really detailed data right down to community level. They want to make sure that those data are representative of what's actually happening out there, and they want it to be on a timely basis. So they want to know today. So we're facing obviously some situations and some hardships for many people in terms of the housing sector. It's a really hot policy need. Now, they don't want us to give them information 2-3 years from now as to what's happening today. So the needs of our users are they want detailed data and they want it now. And when you look at our traditional ways, measures of how we go about doing it, generally what we do is, we would do a survey, we would go out and ask Canadians, what their situation is like, to what degree are they leveraged, what are the kinds of payments that they're making on, whether it's their utilities or otherwise.
Right.
Well, we would get that information in about 2 or 3 years from now. So we're finding more and more that's in today's, day and age, that just doesn't cut it anymore. 75% of us do all our transactions online now.
Right.
And so for us, it only makes sense in order to meet that need of Canadians that we need to go to where those records are and where Canadians actually are conducting their business.
But this, and this is the intersection of the need for information and the desire to protect privacy. So, what you're seeing is some pushback from people saying, wait a minute, if I don't want them to have this information, how come they can just come and take it? What's the answer to that?
Well, look, first of all, this is our 100th anniversary as a very important institution in Canada. So for 100 years, we've been protecting privacy and confidentiality. Every piece of information that we put outside, whether it's the GDP that we released today, whether it's the unemployment rate, whether it's how much people spend on certain aspects, that all starts with a piece of information that we know and recognize and respect that it is going to have an impact on somebody's privacy. So we have built in processes and measures within Statistics Canada to make sure it doesn't matter how that data comes in, whether it was brought by consent or not, whether it came in electronically or through an administrative source, we protect it, and we have not only world-leading processes on how we protect that privacy, but in fact, that guarantee, if you like, of making sure that your data will never leave the agency to another government department or anywhere is actually baked into law.
Right. It is baked into law, but we've seen breaches of privacy in the federal government. We've seen incidents where that's happened. And so how do you, so you have Canadians watching this story and saying, he can make all the guarantees in the world he wants. We live in a new world now where people find ways to get a hold of people's private information, whether agencies claim to be able to protect it or not. So do you understand that concern? People say, you can say you'll protect it, but some people are just going to say, I don't accept it. I'm too worried about that.
Well, look, we absolutely respect that. We see that on our surveys. We see that on, in many other forums. We absolutely respect people's concerns when it comes to privacy and confidentiality. I mean, that's the currency in which we live in. That's what we deal with each and every day. So, we have processes in place to make sure that we take every single precaution, all the kinds of steps that are in place. In fact, so many of them are world leading. Other countries follow the kind of processes that we have.
And you can promise me today that they'll never fail?
Well, we work with the Privacy Commissioner. So over the course of the last year, in this specific case that is garnered some media attention, we worked with them. We worked with the stakeholders. We said, what are some of their concerns? What are some of the steps that we take in a normal course? And in fact, on this one, just given the sensitivities that are obviously relevant, we've even gone above and beyond that. And in fact, just yesterday, I reached out to the Privacy Commissioner and said, look, after a year working with you, and your officials, taking your input into account, if we can do even more, tell us. We will go even above and beyond.
Did he not suggest, the Office of the Privacy Commissioner not suggest that you collect the information only after the identities of the people it comes from have been masked or protected.
So
that's one of his suggestions. Look,
that's exactly what we're doing. So in fact, a piece of information, as soon as it comes into Statistics Canada, the first thing that we do is we strip off the identifiers. Your name,
but
your
it comes in
address.
identified.
Well,
he's suggesting that you look at the information after it's been stripped.
So what we do first of all is we assess what is the least amount of information that we need in the first place. So we don't go out there and collect information that we don't need. And remember, our focus isn't your personal identifier or your personal transaction. That's the case. We're more after the data. What is that particular transaction? What was it like? And so those identifiers are important for us to be able to make sure that we can say, look, this is
representative.
Exactly. And so we're converting that information into what is statistical knowledge. So we bring it in so that we can make sure that we can make sure it's representative, as you said. But after that, it follows a statistical process.
So I understand. So I understand what you're saying. Yes. There are other ways to get this information, but you're saying the issue is timeliness. If you did it the old way, you'd wait 2 or 3 years for the information, and your argument is by that point it's not useful to us anymore, or less useful to us anymore. So technology allows us to do it this way, and we want to do it this way.
I just add to that. In fact, not only is timeliness a big issue, but we're finding more and more. Canadians are busy. They're not available on the other end of the phone anymore, if they even have a landline. And what we're finding is, in the quality of the information that what we're collecting, in addition to the timeliness issue, is that it is less and less representative. We're now getting it from a very small portion of the population, and we know that biases creep in. So we have to be able to give people not, what is the situation in Barrhaven or in Canada or in the Glebe when it comes to house prices and to the degree to which people are leveraged in terms of their debt, and what does that look like, or what kind of services they make use today, whether it's Netflix or Airbnb or whatever it is. These are the demands that we're getting from data users. And what we don't want to be able to do is to say, well, I can only tell you what's going on in Barrhaven or in Canada.
Or Richmond, BC.
Exactly, or anywhere across this country. As you know, the housing situation, very, very tight in many parts. What we can't say is, well, actually, it only represents, those that wanted to, participate with us.
Okay, let me ask a couple of questions to finish up here. Sure. So, as we speak, it sounds like the big 5 banks are not willingly handing over this information, right?
Well, no decision has been made yet. We still, remember, this is
so if they don't want to hand
work
it
in progress.
If they don't hand it over, what do you do?
So first, like I said,
you'll go get it legislatively.
One, Statistics Canada does, like, by the way, every statistical agency in the world has the ability, because of the issues of representativeness. Right. We want to make sure that you get good quality and representative data. Even the Privacy Act, even PIPEDA, have carve-outs for statistical purposes. Mm-hmm. So we're doing everything that is within the law. And in fact, like I said, it's international. This is what statistical agencies do. As I said, the quid pro quo to that is the privacy protection, and as the Statistics Act, it says, yes, you have this power to get it, but you also have an obligation to make sure that nobody gets at that individual data.
Okay. All right, and the pledge is that you can say to us today that if that information that you collect on 500,000 Canadians, no chance it'll ever show up in public because your systems are so good, you've got it protected.
Look, as I said, we are taking every single precaution. I've even asked, if we can do more, of people who are specializing in privacy. This is the Office of the Privacy Commissioner. If we can do more, come on down. Let's, if over the course of the year in working with you, we've failed to, address something, or we can do even something more, let's do it. But this, as I said, it's the importance of the user and the sophisticated needs of our society and economy today. Users need that kind of information to make decisions. And I think, we now have the ability not only just to work in the paper and pencil world, but I think, we need to move into the digital world with the kinds of privacy and the kinds of protections that are the hallmark of Statistics Canada.
Okay, well, thanks for coming in to give us your perspective on why you need this, and we continue to follow the developments around it. But Anil Arora, thanks very much for your time.
It's a real pleasure. Thank you, Peter.
Here.